Hey guys, this is Amber from NotableInk.com, and I'm so excited to be sharing products from the Altenew July 2019 release. If you haven't seen it already, we have a hop going on with tons of inspiration. There's lots of great artists on the hop and also prizes along the way, so be sure to check that out. I'll have a link down below along with links to any of the products that I've used in today's projects. So for our first project, we're going to use Pen Sketch Flowers, which is such an awesome set. There are so many beautiful florals to watercolor, pencil color, use your markers. I'm going to use this sentiment from Sophisticated Wreath and the Geometric Frames die, which is just so cool. There's 6 dies and you get a fine frame and also 2 solid pieces for each of the 3 different shapes. So an inside piece and kind of like an outside piece that you can also use. And you can layer those up in different colors. I'm just using the frame today, which you can see over here. And we'll do some no-line watercoloring for that card. So I just wanted to show you the inside of the insert here, which has lots of inspiration. So you can see some loose watercoloring, some embossing, some tone-on-tone stamping. It gives you suggestions of great sets to pair this with, and then also color combinations as well. So there's lots of inspiration on these tri-fold cards that come with each of the 6x8 and the 4x6 sets, so definitely check those out. So to start off this card, I've taken one of the frame dies and I've traced the outside of the die onto a piece of masking paper, and I'm just going to fussy cut that out. My idea, which you saw from the sample card, was to have some of the flowers kind of overlapping the frame die and then other ones being framed around it with a space in between the frame die and the flowers. So that's why I traced the outside of the die, because I wanted separation between the frame and the flowers. So I set up my stamps, I stamped the flower at the bottom, and then what I've done is cut out a mask for the flower, and I've also cut that out of the geometric frame die mask that I have, because again, I want those little bits to overlap there. So I'm going to set up my other flower, and this is one of the flowers that's going to overlap the geometric frame die. And I'm stamping this on watercolor paper. My favorite watercolor paper is the Saunders Waterford High White Rough paper. I really like the way that it performs, and it's super, super white, which I also really like. So I'm stamping the images in Dewdrops ink because I want a really light color, because we're going to be doing some no-line watercolor. So in addition, you can see the flower that I have there on the left. I have these leaves here that I'm stamping. And then I've stamped some images at the top already. So I have a piece of cardstock and a stamp envelope here, and I'm just going to use this as my palette, and I'm putting down Galactic Stream, Teal Cave, Dewdrops, and a little bit of Charcoal Soot, and this is what I'm going to be watercoloring with today. I have a number 2 round brush from the Silver Brush Company. Actually, no, that's a number 4. And I put down a little bit of clean, clear water, and I'm just dropping the Galactic Stream, a little bit of the Teal Cave down at the base there, and then I'm also adding some Charcoal Soot down at the very bottom as well. And I'm just going to show you a few petals. This is very much the same technique that I used for the Altenew Instagram block hop, so I will link that video at the end so that you can take a look at that if you missed it. I watercolored the Catalea Build-A-Flower stamp set with the same technique, so you can check that out. But you can see I'm just putting the darkest colors at the base and making sure that I preserve highlight where the sun would be shining on the petal. If there's any folds in the petal, I'll make sure that I have deep contrast up underneath the fold. So here I have Altenew Gold Strings washi tape, and I just took 2 strips and covered the top and bottom and folded that around. I've also added a piece of sticky back fun foam to the back, and I stamped my sentiment in Enchanted Gold pigment ink. So I've gone ahead and cut just a little bit out, and I've added some Nuvo glue pen to the back of this geometric frame die, and I cut it from gold cardstock, and so I cut out a piece where the flower is going to overlap, and then I made sure to leave space in between the frame and the flowers. And so with most of it stuck down, I'm going to go ahead and lift it up with my tweezers and just trim this little piece out in any of the places where the flower overlaps. So I love the look of this. I love how some of the petals at the bottom are overlapping, and then you've got the space in between the frame at the top where the florals just kind of stop. This color combination of the galactic stream and the charcoal suit really appealed to me, and that paired with the gold I thought was a really nice complementary color. So I was so inspired by this particular color palette that I continued it in my other cards and added purple to it as well. Next up, we're using Charming Doodles, which is just such a sweet stamp set. I love the style that these were illustrated in and the fact that it's a layering stamp set. You know, for such dainty drawings, for it to be a layering stamp set, I think is really cool. And then of course we're adding some cinnamon strips because I can't get enough of the cinnamon strip stamp set. It has to go on all the things. So inside you can see lots of inspiration here. I love this bouquet that they've made with, again, all of those really dainty stems and doodles, and I love all the colors. So they've got color inspiration here. So lots of different ways for you to use it. It is a little bit of a different stamp set for them. So I think it's great to pull out the inspiration and see what they are suggesting. So definitely make sure you check that out. For this card, I'm going to switch out the gold. You could definitely use the Enchanted Gold in this, but I went ahead and switched out the gold for Chamomile, which is from the Golden Sunset color family. So what I've done here is I've just taken some circle stacking dies and I used a different size circle, and what I did is I created my own mask. Once I had the mask taped down, I ink blended Aqualicious and Chamomile, I believe that was. And I'm just looking for a third color. I wanted to introduce a third color. So this is often what I'll do. I'll use these ink swatches that come with the oval ink pads, and I'll kind of just sift through there and see what third color is going to appeal to me. And what I landed on was Cosmic Berry. So I'm just testing it out on a scratch piece there, and I'm going to go ahead and ink blend this as well. So it does take a little bit of time with the blender brushes to get the desired amount of pigment down, but it's so worth it. And I love how this card panel turned out already. So I'm using the Charming Doodle stamp set here. And what I wanted was to do all of the images in black, but to have them partially on the ink blended color circles and partially off of those. So this design was inspired by a plate that I saw. It was like a decorative serving plate that I saw, and I just loved the design of it. I thought it was so cool that I wanted to translate it into a card. And so really easy to do. I'm going to go ahead and use the mask so that I can add some leaves here so that I can get it off of the circle. And then I have used a sentiment from the Sentiment Strips stamp set, and I just added a few gold sequins. So we have the first two cards here, and that second card comes together really easily. What took the longest really was the ink blending. And you can see that completed card here. For our third and final card, we're using Enchanted Gold Pigment ink, and that is my favorite color of the two gold inks that they have. The Graphic Brushstrokes background stamp set, which has such a cool pattern. You could either just stamp it once like I did, or you can layer it in different colors. And then the Mega Greetings 4 stamp set, and this is obviously the fourth one in the set, and these are just awesome. So there's stamps and there's also accompanying dies, which will die cut the same size words. So look at that blessed sample there. I think that is gorgeous. I love that card. So again, lots of inspiration in your trifold. Make sure that you pull those out so you can see the recommended stamp sets and color options. But really, I just love these. I think they're so awesome. There's so many different techniques that you can do because the letters are so large. And then for the graphic brushstrokes, same thing. you've got lots of great inspiration. So there you can see the two colors layered, and then look how they use the single stamp to add water inside the vase. I just think that's really cool. So I'm using the Enchanted Gold again so that I can tie that into my color palette again, and the ink goes on really nicely. It also cleans off of this stamp really well. So I'm not even going to take the stamp off the backing sheet because I don't have a stamp block that is large enough for this, and I didn't really want to load it into my MISTI. The pigment ink stamps so well, I knew that I was going to get a good impression the first time. So I'm just going to plop it down onto the stamp here, and then I'll grab a piece of copy paper and just rub over that so that I don't get any of the gold ink on my hands. So we'll just make sure that we get that all smoothed down. And let's take a look. The big reveal. So here it is. Isn't that awesome? I love that. And look how easily the ink comes off. It just wipes off with a baby wipe really nicely. And it doesn't have that, even though it's sticky, it's not nearly as sticky as some of the black inks are, you know, that leave a lot of residue, the pigment ink. So I just love this card panel. To finish off the card, I took the Aqualicious ink pad directly to the paper, and then I die cut that out with the Mega Hope die. I also cut out a white piece of paper with that Hope die, and I stacked those. And then I stamped a sentiment from the Mega Greetings 4 and trimmed that out, added a few sequins, and that was it. A really simple card, but I think it is just so classy and has a great look and feel to it. So I had a blast with this color palette, with these 3 completely different projects here, you know, the geometrics and the abstract brushstrokes, and then the watercolor project. Really, I loved, absolutely loved. So I really feel like as I continue to do no-line watercolor like this, particularly with the ink pads, I seem to have a lot of success when I do the no-line watercolor with ink pads. I don't know why that is. The color just moves really well, especially on this paper, and so I love that technique. I want to send a big thanks to Altenew for inviting me to guest this month, and to you guys for leaving me comments about your preference on the videos. I'll continue to combine the videos when it makes sense, and if not, and I feel like it needs more instruction, then I'll make a longer video and split them out. So definitely let me know what you think of this video. I changed up how I presented the products. Let me know if you like that. I will link that Catalina card here so that you can see more instruction on watercoloring if you're interested. And I really appreciate you guys stopping by and watching this video. Thanks so much. If you liked what you saw, consider hitting the like and subscribe button and that bell button if you haven't already. And until next time, breathe, ink, inspire.